This is serious business. This is not... Hi, everyone. I'm just getting started. I've just gathered a bunch of stuff together, and believe me, this is really tough to know where to begin because there is so much, there is so many beautiful things that have been encountered already by those of you that I know, and it's hard to know even where to exactly begin. So I decided to begin with just a few things so I know that we're speaking the same language. Words are important. They're important because it's important that we have the same, that we define the things the same. That it's important that we, the vocabulary that we use, if I say something to you, it's important that I know that you're hearing what I'm saying. There has to be an inner ear and an inner ear and your eyes. So I'm going to start with a simple thing. I have a relic here. This is, you can't see it very well, but this inside is a little cloth cover. This is a first-class relic. That means it's part of her body. I do not know what part of her body. I think I could find out. All I need to do is take it apart. Because in the back of this, there is there's a paper, a document that says, actually, not only what part of her body this is, but gives a little background on her. This particular saint, I'm sorry, she's not sainted, she's beatified. This particular beatified holy person, her name was Mother Marie Leon. She's originally from Canada, and she became sainted by keeping house. I hope that's familiar for some of you. And how did she keep house? She kept house for some of the nuns that taught school in their houses, and so they didn't really have time to keep house. So she did that. And she kept house for priests. She came down in the United States, and she worked for the Holy Cross priests down by Notre Dame. And she did it down there, but she needed more volunteers. So she got a few ladies, 3 or 4 ladies, to help her. When she did that, she ended up writing a rule for them. So now she is up for beatification, and she was no young chick. I mean, this is a gal, when she did this, she was probably 50, 55 by the time this was all working its way through the system. That's Mother Marie Leon. I have those things because they remind me that all you have to do is keep house, and it can be holy. Now, Mother Marie Leon didn't make holy, make herself holy by keeping house. She made herself holy in her interior life by praying. And in her interior life, she made keeping house holy. So first of all, she had an interior life. Aha, here's my favorite. This is Saint Therese. Actually, it's written, it says Saint Teresa, ends with an A. You will find that generally speaking, when you see a relic, and this is a second-class relic. That means it's something that she owned, probably a piece of her habit or pillow or something. But anyway, but it ends in an A. It does not say Teresa of Avila. It says Teresa Virgin, which most of them are. There's so many St. Teresas around it. It's incredible. So this particular St. Teresa that ends in A when you see it ends in an A, generally it's Teresa of Avila, because that's how she spelled her name. The other Teresa, little Teresa, the one who's even maybe more famous than Avila, I'm not really sure, maybe not. But anyway, certainly famous, Teresa Little Flower. Her name ends in an E. So when you see Teresa ending in an E, you're seeing the Little Flower. Now, if you have any reason to think that might not be the case because of the context that you're reading about something, then check it out. I mean, look it up somewhere. Look on Wikipedia or something, and you'll be able to know who you're reading about. But generally speaking, you can always take for granted that the A is Teresa of Avila and the E is the Little Flower. I also I keep Teresa of Avila just because I love it that she's a reformer. Go for it, Teresa Sigum. I love her. Yes, she was a contemplative. Yes, she had these phenomenal experiences and all that stuff. But that isn't what I love about her. I love that she mopped them up. And folks, that's what you are. That's what you're going to do. All right, next thing. I have a bunch of these little knotted rosaries. The knotted rosary is getting so it's relatively common with the prayer of Undoer of Knots. I also have many of those, many. And they're all laminated. Here, let me see what I can find here so you can see what I'm talking about. Aha. So if any of you want any of these things, be sure you tell me. I have these kind of things on purpose. I have these things because I want them for God's people. I have all kinds of stuff like this, which from Divine Mercy. Now this one is a little different than what you may think. The Devotion to the Divine Mercy actually has 5 or 6 different ways to do the devotion. I mean, you can do it a lot of different ways. Most people are very familiar with the chaplet, and that's what they do. But there are many other ones. This one on the back has, just across the top, has just a very simple prayer. And it's devoted to the image of Jesus. The bottom part, which is longer, is the chaplet. Now, I have a son who still goes to school. He went back to school. He's older. So he went back to school, and because he's older and he has to work, and his life is it's different. So when he has a test, we have a deal how we work this. He puts the image on his test papers or his book, whichever it is. Can you see this right? Am I holding this right? Holy moly. Okay. He puts this on whatever his test is going to be, says that little prayer on the top, that one line little prayer. And that's his prayer for that test. So he doesn't have to devote himself to he doesn't have to devote himself to all kinds of stuff. It's simple as pie. God is simple. He's simple and he's clear, and he can do this. The more simple that you bring yourself to God, the more he loves it. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if you spend hours and hours. How much time we spend isn't really what's relevant, because don't forget, in God's time, there is no time. It's a matter of events. So what do we do then to give that to him? How do we keep God into our daily life? How do we do that? And that's to keep the presence of this God that we've given ourselves to. How do we keep that into our daily life? And all of these little things help you do that. Here's my very, very, very favorite picture of the Immaculate Heart. This also comes in my little booklet. So if you, the booklet I pulled together, and I also have this one that goes with her. And this is strange because this is actually a picture of what I knew of, I could say, was the Sacred Heart. But on the back, the prayer is the Divine Mercy Chaplet. So it looks like the Sacred Heart, but it's dedicated to Divine Mercy. There's a reason for that, but I don't really have time to go over all of that for you in one crack. We're not going to do all of this today, I promise. I've got all kinds of other little things that you can have anytime. I have these, which are miraculous metal, and the miraculous metal on the back, has an explanation of what the miraculous metal is. So you can pass these out to anybody. This is kind of an evangelization project. I also have miraculous metals that I can send with these things if any of you want this stuff. Here's another one very similar. This is also to the miraculous metal, but the picture's a little different. It's our mother greeting with Elizabeth, and they both have the child. This one is used for evangelization with pro-life, but it still has the miraculous metal. So this is a good one too. We use this even at our parish. Also, I have this kind of stuff. A few of these still left. Not a lot of them, but I have a few. This one happens to be St. Helen with the metal inside. You can get a lot of these kind of things anywhere, but I keep them simply because I like my grandkids to have them. I like my kids to have them, etc., etc. Here's another one that I got recently. Also, this is good for grandkids and kids and the adult children. This is also used for pro-life. It's the mother clothed with the Son, and it's not spelled S-U-N. It's spelled clothed with the Son, S-O-N. And I like this depiction of her very much. There's another one. It's very similar. It's this one also with she's pregnant, but on the back it's a prayer to Word made flesh. Now today we're not going to discuss this because we don't have time, but we're going to talk about the Word made flesh sometime because that's a really big issue. And then I have some holy cards just of different saints. This happens to be Liz Seaton, and these are all laminated. So you can have these. Oh, I got one here. I got a few, actually. I didn't realize I still had these. Here's some of Gianna Molla, and she died in childbirth. And she's Italian, and this is a fairly new saint. She's not sainted beatified, but she's one of those that pro-life people really like. I have a few of St. Francis, if anybody wants those. I have, let's see, and then I have these, which I really like, these kind of things, and they're called healing relics, and these are good for grandkids, for those of you who are older, and each one is for a different devotion. This one has for back pain, and that's Saint Gemma Galgani, and she looks really young there, but when she died, she wasn't. By the time she died, she looked more like me, but she's really young there. And so we have those, and then we have. This is one of my favorite ones. I put this in my little prayer booklet. You can do that too, but you have to ask them for them because I don't have very many of them, and I love it dearly. It was given to me by a friend in Kalamazoo, And when I first saw that, I thought, oh, big deal. There's nothing to that. Just a bunch of people coming to the Vatican. I read a book on Kabiho, the apparitions in Africa, and incidentally, they have been approved. And it talks about how the Blessed Mother, when the apparitions happened in Kabiho, she would be dancing and singing with what she said was all of these children. And these children were flowers. The young girl who was seeing the Blessed Mother doing this said to herself, something, I'm only seeing flowers, Mother. That's all I'm seeing is flowers. Please, you keep telling me these children. So then the Blessed Mother lifted the veil in this other dimension, and so this young girl, could see all of these many, many people who were flowers. I'm telling you, kids, you're flowers. That's you. So this is very special to me because I honestly believe that you are flowers. This is the Memorare. Some of you might like to do the Memorare. It comes from, I use the Memorare because Mother Teresa of Calcutta said that she never had time to pray 9 days for a 9-day novena to get a miracle. I'll tell you, I don't either. So if I need a miracle, I got to have it now. So what you do is you pray the Memorare 9 times in a row. That's what Mother Teresa said. That worked. So it works. It works. So you just do the prayer 9 times in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right at the same time. Not different days, nothing. So that's the Memorare prayer novena that Mother Teresa of Calcutta did. So I have quite a few of these. I guess I can say several. All right, I have quite a few of these. So if anyone is interested in the Memorare novena, be sure you mention that to me. I'm just about out of new variations here. I'm going to start. Mother Teresa is being sainted this year. Lots of stuff on Mother Teresa because she's being sainted. Anybody who wants Mother Teresa stuff, I got lots of stuff on her. Okay, next thing. I'm just going to show you my meditation book. Everybody has a different meditation, their own. And you'll notice in what we call our little daily rule, we have 15 minutes given to whatever meditation that you happen to have. This is mine. It's called In Conversation with God. They're a little pricey because they come in a series of 7. I was told to do these by a priest who at the time was my spiritual director. And I have trouble with, I'm a convert, so I have trouble with biblical readings. I can't just sit down and read the Bible or whatever. And Father told me, he said, okay, what you need something to unlearn what you've learned. How you've learned to pray. You need to unlearn that. So he told me to get this series of books. It's not a series that you use in 1 year. It's a series, it's usable till 2020. I've had mine, I don't know, a couple of years now, I think. But they're good for that long. Fantastic. Fantastic. Priests use them. They use them for homilies. They use them for all kinds of stuff. I try to get them from eBay because I get them used. And then they're a little cheaper. But if you're going to buy them new, they're about $20 a book. So I don't suggest that. I just don't think that. I don't think we need to pay out the big bucks to come to God. That doesn't really make sense to me. So so this is the series that I use. Next, I'm going to show you my little prayer book that some of you already have. This little prayer book, it's really a matter of, you know how many people will have their favorite prayers will have some on their dressers, some on their nightstands, some of it. I mean, they're all over the house. And then whenever they sit down, they read those particular prayers. Well, this is kind of like doing that, except it's putting it all together so you don't have them spread all over your house. This is truly having a prayer book, your handmade prayer book. We do have a mission, and that mission is right on the front. It's written right on the front here. There's a mission. The mission is actually in 3 parts. Oh, I think I'm almost out of time. I don't think I'm going to be able to talk to you much longer. But the mission is to develop an interior life. An interior life is to pray. If you're a quadriplegic and there's nothing that you can do for God, if you never can do anything for God, you have to be something for God. We can always be something. Mother Teresa of Calcutta said, this was in the very beginning, she said, I want to do something for God. She felt drawn, she had to do something. And I thought about that, something's, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. The reason Mother Teresa could say that was because she already had an interior life that she had developed from the first order that she'd been in. We haven't. We're the laity. So we have to develop that interior life. We have to be something beautiful for God. We have to be something beautiful for God. We may never do anything for God, but we're going to be something beautiful for God. And in that, then, we develop our interior life. And that interior life grants us, it gives us the graces to have custody of our heart. To have custody of your heart means you're the boss of it. You have control of that. It's a discipline. You are not going to fool around with the neighbor's husband or something, because you're going to have custody of your heart. Doesn't matter how friendly the neighbor's husband is. You're still, or the neighbor's wife, Joe, that works for you too. But you have to be able to have custody of your heart. Once you have custody of your heart, then you will be trusted with the hearts of those around us who are vulnerable. And that can be anybody. Who we meet who is vulnerable will depend on where we are in our life, what we're doing as the will of God. So first, we have to develop the interior life so that we can have custody of our hearts. And if you don't have an interior life, I'm sorry, no custody. No interior life, no custody. No interior life, no exterior life. You can scratch it. You can scratch it. There's plenty of people who go to Sunday Mass, never have an interior life. I want to end up just a couple of things that I needed to do. One of them is I couldn't get those medals today. Shirley, where are you? I couldn't get those medals today. And I wanted to. They called me. They said they're in. I went down to Angela's, and they were closed for a funeral. The nerve of them to do that. But anyway, I'll get them. I hope I can get them tomorrow, but I'll get them as soon as I can. Another thing is I want to make CDs, especially for Angie and Claire. And I'm thinking that I'll do the prayer. I'll go through the entire book on a CD. And then you can pray with me on the CD. That's what my goal is. I don't know how to make a CD yet. But my computer guy said, oh, don't worry about it. There's nothing to that. I think he means something like, there's nothing to doing YouTube. Yeah, well, it took me 3 days to figure it out. But anyway, it's the same kind of thing. So as soon as I get the CD, I swear to you, Claire and Angie, I will have you get them. Lisa asked me about my rings. Don't forget, if you have wedding rings, if you're a person who's married and you have wedding rings, or even your parents' ring, if you have your parents' rings, if you kiss wedding rings, you get a plenary indulgence. Those wedding rings, that's how important they are, because they have been sacramentalized through the sacrament itself. the one ring that I wear on my little finger, or I'm sorry, my middle finger, Lisa, was gifted to me by one of our friends in Kalamazoo. That very, very sweet person, always giving me something. And so she gave me this ring, and I think she thought it was a ruby. I think she might have told me that. I can't remember for sure. But it's not a ruby. It's a garnet. But the thing that's unique about it is a garnet is my birthstone. And she didn't know that. So she thought she was giving me a ruby. And as only God can do, of course, I got my birthstone. So, and congratulations, we have a new baby in our midst. Lisa, our California Lisa Williams, has her first little grandson. God bless you, Lisa. May he be strong, healthy, and wise. And take care of his grandma when he gets old, when she gets old. And so that's all we have for today. I hope I can get this off to you folks. I love you dearly. Be well.